Hello, this is DragonLoon, and welcome back to Satisfactory. Last time we set up our very basic automation where we started the automation process for iron plates, iron rods, cables, wire, copper. This time what we're going to work on doing is we're going to work on getting our miners down for the iron, for the limestone over there, to make concrete, and for the copper node way off in the distance up on the hill right there, to be able to just further automate all of this. We're also going to go ahead and place down, probably right over in this area, our space elevator, and work on getting foundations for to start building our base and get this temporary setup into a more permanent setup. So let's get started here. First thing we need to do is we need to go in here and we need to unlock base building. Base building will give us access to all of our foundations, which will allow us to line everything up and make it look all nice and pretty and organized. So let's go ahead and get on in here and get started. So the first thing we need to do is we need to collect a bunch of concrete. Now, in order to do that, what we actually want to get started doing is we want to go ahead and automate the process of feeding limestone into this constructor to make the concrete, and we're going to go ahead and build a storage container right here just to house the concrete as it's being made, making it easier to collect. There we go. And now we're producing limestone or concrete. Yay, us. Alright, so I was able to get all of the materials necessary, so let's go ahead and get this base building done, and then we will start in on the next milestone. This will allow us to start the foundation of our base. The next milestone we want to get is our logistics, and that is because we really need these conveyor mergers, because after we get logistics, we're going to jump over to Tier 2 to obstacle clearing so that we can start making solid biofuel. This is because in the biofuel generators, leaves burn at a rate of 0.8 seconds per item, per leaf, I guess you could say, whereas biomass in general burns at 9 seconds per item. The solid biofuel actually burns a little bit, takes a little bit longer to burn per iteration. And as we get more and more machines, we're going to need more and more biofuel generators to be able to power it all, which means that we're going to need to be able to have them run by themselves a lot longer. So, let's go ahead and get in here. We already have the next milestone queued up, which is logistics, and for that, we need wire, rods, and plates. So let's go ahead and grab all of these. Alright. And there goes logistics. And while we wait for that, let's go ahead and queue up obstacle clearing, and we'll start working on getting all of that together. But in the meantime, now that we have our foundations, we can start placing things down and getting them oriented correctly. So what I like doing is I like going in, and we'll go ahead and pick this up, and I like placing I like adding in a few foundations that are oriented in the right direction. In this case, we're going to orient them to north and south. And then we will take our miner, and we need some more concrete. But we'll take our miner, and we'll slap that down, and then we'll pull up all of these foundations. Now, the reason that I do that is because you can then take your foundations and be able to slide it right underneath the miner like this. And if you do it just right, you can actually line it up perfectly. We might have to pull this up. Alright, let's try this again. So we'll put down a few foundations. Put down the miner. And pull up the foundations. And then put this foundation down again. With it lined up on the miner. And that will mean that everything else is now lined up to the miner and oriented correctly. Alright, so now that we have that going, we can grab some more steel plates, or iron plates, excuse me, and connect up the miner to that smelter. And we'll go ahead and throw down a bioburner, because as soon as we hook this up, we are going to be out of power. So, let's throw down the biofuel generator there, and we'll put down a power pole there, and hook it into the network, fuel it, and then connect the miner. And there we go. We have now automated completely iron plates. Alright, and while we wait for more concrete, because we're almost there, what we can do is we can run up here to our copper node and get our copper wire fully automated. We will throw down our miner like that, and then we will put a conveyor belt down here, and then one down there, and then we'll use the conveyor belt to go down. And we'll also throw in a power pole to provide power there, and continue stretching out all of this. Alright, we got that ready, so let's go ahead and take care of this. Now, with that, we are able to make the chainsaw, which will make collecting biomass a whole lot easier. It also gave us the biomass, solid biofuel, excuse me. So let's go ahead and get in here into the field research, which will unlock the MAM, which will allow us to be able to do research on things such as the power slugs, which I had gone around and started collecting while waiting for the concrete. But before we do anything more, what I want to do is I want to put the hub up on foundations, and it is going to take at least 2 wide by 3 deep of foundations. So let me get a bunch of more concrete down, and then we will go from there. We can also go ahead and put down a storage unit down over here for the time being, because we need to clear out the storage on the hub, so that when we disassemble it, we don't have a storage crate just sitting right there and getting in our way. And obviously we don't have enough storage space on our person to be able to handle that amount. Alright. Alright, so I got the hub up on foundations. Now I did move it away from the rock a little bit, and that is because I was actually previously trying to record this episode, and I had a power glitch. But while I was recording, I was in the middle of building a processing area over here to be able to take all the leaves and wood and turn it into biomass and then solid biofuel. And I discovered that I actually did not have enough room to put it over here like I wanted to. So, uh, this time, I made sure to slide the hub over just a little bit to be able to give me plenty of room to put it all down here and all on one level rather than going up a couple of foundations. So, let's go ahead and move all of this over here. Now, also, while I was waiting for everything to build up, if you look over here in the right-hand side, you can see my build queue has 3 storage containers, 3 constructors, 1 conveyor merger, and 1 chainsaw. And of course, I already have all the resources needed. The chainsaw is, as previously stated, to help us collect all the wood and other biomass. And the constructors, we need 1 constructor to convert uh, leaves into biomass, and 1 constructor to convert wood into biomass. And then we're going to use the conveyor merger to all merge it onto one line, and then send it into a 3rd constructor to change it from biomass into solid biofuel. And then, of course, we're going to need some containers to store all of that. Alright, so I finally got it to where, to the point that I like. So let me walk you through what I've got here. This storage container right here is going to house all our solid biomass, or solid biofuel, excuse me, once it's made. And that is going to be made in this constructor here. And this constructor is going to be fed from this container right here, which is going to house all our processed biomass. And that is being fed by these 2 constructors here. This one is for leaves, and that one there is for wood, and they all merge into one to go into one container. Now, I added in this container here because these 2 machines combined actually process more material than that one constructor can handle at any one point in time. Because this generates 60 parts per minute, this generates 300 parts per minute, and this constructor here can only process 120 parts per minute. So you need a storage container to just have that overflow. Now, all we've got to do to get this going is hook it up from here to this power pole right there, and we will have our solid biomass, or our solid biofuel production going. And look at that, there we go. Now what we will eventually want to do is we will eventually want to increase these belts from Mark 1s to Mark 2s, just so that we can get more biomass into this constructor quicker. But what we can do for the time being is we can grab a stack of 200 and throw it in there just like that. Alright. And now it's working at 100% efficiency. And we're already getting solid biofuel. So let's go ahead and grab that. And then what we need to do is we need to make our chainsaw. Now I had to pull up the workshop because it was in the way of where I wanted the hub. So let's go ahead and put that back down right here. And here is our chainsaw. I love this opening animation. Doesn't happen every single time, just the first time, but it's really cool. Alright. And now we can start cutting down trees. Now I want to show you a little trick with this chainsaw that I don't think very many people have noticed. And that is that if you go someplace where you, say, have regular leaves that you can pick up from the ground and trees, you can collect it all at once by just holding down the chainsaw, and it's a large patch. And you can really see that over here in places, that's not a good patch, right here, where you have things such as these flowers. Now you can go around and pick up the leaves and flower petals all one at a time, or you can do a big swath with the chainsaw, and it collects it all at once. So that's just a little trick that you might find useful when harvesting massive amounts of biomass. So, but for the time being, we'll go around and collect up a decent amount of biomass and get all of that processing while we're waiting for the solid biofuel to process so we can switch that over in our biogenerators. Alright, and the other thing that we can do is we can start redoing all of these and getting them up on the regular foundations. Alright. So what I did was I added in a splitter here because this normal node with a Mark 1 miner produces 60 ore per minute, and each one of these smelters can only handle 30. So one miner can actually feed 2 smelters. I have this smelter here, which is producing 30 iron ingots per minute, split into 2, because each one of these can only handle 15 per minute, so you can use one smelter to make iron rods in 2 different constructors. I then have one of these constructors automatically going into to making screws, which alright, hold on. Have to do some reworking here. There we go. Alright, now everything is done. Alright. And then what we're going to do is we're going to be putting down a couple more storage containers just to be able to store all of these resources that we're currently producing. Now we need to set our wire and cable production facilities back up. Alright, so I have everything hooked back up for our copper, and copper is getting ready to come into the refinery here. But I have one constructor set up making just copper wire, and then I have a pair of constructors set up to make cable. And all of those are going into their own storage containers as well. So, I know I said we would try and get to the space elevator today. Unfortunately, due to issues with power and whatnot, and as well as due to the sheer scope of things that we still needed to get set up in order to get to that point, we weren't quite able to get the space elevator set down. But we have made a decent amount of progress towards getting going on the next steps. So just to recap, we've gotten our solid biofuel production set up to where we can now run the biofuel generators, burning one every 22.5 seconds, which is really awesome. Although looking at our power production, we will need to increase that up, and hopefully get into coal rather soon, because that is the best mid-game power source. And we have also gotten everything on foundations and everything organized nice and neat in streamline production lines. We have one Mark 1 miner producing 60 iron ore a minute, which is fueling our iron production which includes iron plates, iron rods, and screws. We also have our copper production set back up to where we are now automatically producing cable and copper wire. So, I think that is looking good for now. Next time we definitely will put down that space elevator and get working on unlocking Tier 3, which is, Tier 4, Tier 3 and 4, which in Tier 4 we get our coal power, which means that we will then not have to worry about our power production for quite some time. Once again, if you liked this video, please make sure to leave a like, as it does help me know what to produce and helps me continue. Also, make sure you subscribe for more content along the same lines. Until then, stay frosty.